Hello everyone, welcome to today's session on how to write a CV and cover letter. My name is Wei Lian. Now I'm working at KPMG, the Lighthouse team. Before that, I was studying at University of Auckland and I was pursuing my Master of Commerce in Information Systems. As you can see, I was also one of the international students, just like you. Generally speaking, it's more difficult to find a job compared to locals. But don't worry, that's why I'm here to help, and hopefully this session will help you guys on improving your CV and cover letter. Okay, let's get started.
This is my email address in case you have any questions after the session. And our agenda today, we will go through the CV, mainly on CV structure, design, and how to compose sentences. And then we will go through cover letter. At the end, we have QA session for 10 minutes.
And let's go to CV. So for CV, we will go through the structure first. As you can see on the right side of the screen, it's a structure for most of the CVs. Your name, your education, work experience, other leadership or volunteer work, and referees. And this is just a very simple and basic structure. It doesn't mean that you have to write based on this format. You can add extra sections, for example, your profile summary on top under the name section on top of education. It's usually 3 to 4 lines, maximum 4 lines, because we have limited space on one page. And also for profile summary, one thing you need to think about, only if the profile summary adds up to your profile, leave it there. If you think the profile summary is just something similar to what you will describe below, then better not to leave it there, because profile summary will also take up the space. That means you will have less space for the rest of the pages. Another extra section you can add is probably skills and your certificate. But one thing to keep in mind about skills section is that don't add soft skills into that skill section, because if you add soft skill section as communication skills, it's something very vague without any evidence and support. So everyone can just say, I have communication skills and I have customer service experience. It's not strong enough to just leave the softer skills up there. So in the skills section, we only put the hard skills. For example, for IT, we have lots of programming languages, and a lot of Microsoft, Google, different platforms you can leave there because this is hard skills. You have the skills. And another thing, probably languages. You can speak Spanish and Mandarin, Cantonese. Other languages you can leave there. And after the language, you can probably add proficiency levels of the language. So that's the second extra section you can probably add. Another section you can add into your CV is something you want to make yourself stand out. For example, for me, I did 2 projects when I was at uni. It's about business and technology. So I added a separate section as business and technology projects. So that's something you can add that you think the HR will pay attention to because it's important, that can make you stand out. So these are the extra sections that you can add into your CV based on the basic structure. It depends on your experience and what you want to make yourself stand out. In terms of the section sequence, it doesn't have to be education first, work experience second. Depends on your experience. For example, if you are a student without work experience, of course you put education first. If you have some work experience, you think the work experience is very important for the job that you are applying for, then put the work experience first. So it really depends on your experience. In general, the structure is like this. Hope that makes sense. After the structure, we will go to the next topic, CV design and consistency. This is very important because it will probably 90% determine how neat your CV will look like. So we will go through this one by one. These bullet points are the things that I thought of that is important to make your CV look very clean. Firstly, 2 pages. I'm not very sure the standard in other countries because I know that some of you are in Europe now. So please refer to your university standard. The one I will talk through is based on the New Zealand standard. In New Zealand, it's 2 pages. And please, no background color. I received some of the emails from international students, and the CV looks really nice with very beautiful design, colorful, and very bright. This is actually, it's not something necessary. A simple CV, 2 pages long, no background color, that's sufficient. And it's clean, it's simple. So the HR doesn't have to look around all the pages to find out which section is where. So they can simply just go through the CV page by page and they will find everything that they want to see. Next, list level. For list level, what I meant is the level of the sections. Highlighted by yellow is the first level, and by green is the second level. By gray is third level. For example, I have education, work experience, leadership, voluntary work, and referees. These are level 1. And level 2 is University of Auckland. Level 3 is Master of Commerce. So you can see the different levels, one under each. For each level, keep the font size and space the same. Education, work experience, leadership, they have the same font, same size, and same spacing between. In terms of font, we also need to keep the font consistent throughout the whole CV. I used Calibri as my font, and I used Calibri for all the words I have in this CV. I just used a different size, and I bolded some part of the subtitles. For size, for example, I used 15 for the level 1 education. I used size 12 for level 2 University of Auckland. And then I used size 11 for the main body part of the description. Same for work experience and leadership. So it's all the same. If you have more than 3 levels, for example, Master of Commerce achievement, I have 4 levels. So I keep Master of Commerce and achievement the same size, but I bolded Master of Commerce because that's my degree. So I think it's important. The main thing is just to keep the CV consistent, same font. Regards to the font, you can try out different font. When I was writing my CV, I tried quite a few different fonts, and I found Calibri is the one that looks the best in my CV. Some of my bullet points, the sentence is quite long, and if I use New Roman, it exceeds 2 lines. So in order to make my description fit within 2 lines, I used Calibri. I also used Arial. It's also good, but it doesn't really differentiate bolded ones and the one that is not bolded. So I found Calibri is the one suits my CV the best. For you, I think you can also try out different fonts and find the best one for your CV. So that's for font and size. Next, space between titles, space between lines, and space between the bullet points. Between different sections, for example, work experience and the first section, education, you probably have a bit more spacing between these 2 sections. And for the bullet points within one section, you can probably have a bit smaller spacing, so it looks nicer. You can easily tell this is one section and that is another section. Next, bullet points. Avoid 2 different bullet points icons. In my CV, I chose the circle dots one, and you can choose different ones as long as you keep the whole CV consistent. And also date format is something that I found a lot of CV don't have the dates format consistent. For example, if you write the full month, July 2017, then keep it consistent as November, February, April, March. If you are using the first 3 letters of the month, for example, Feb, then keep it consistent. Use also the first 3 letters of the month for other dates as well. As long as you keep it consistent, that's fine. And margin, my description is very long, so I extended the margin a lot. So you can see that my CV is almost towards the edge of the A4 page because I have a long description, but that's fine as long as the whole page looks nice. It's okay that you extend the margin in order to fit this one bullet point within 2 lines. If you find it's exceeding 2 lines, but just by a few words, I feel like that line is just wasted. So you can extend the margin. That's one of the ways that you can fit the one bullet point into 2 lines. So that's basically the design and consistency part. This part, it's all very detailed work, but it's very important. And I remembered I spent hours on just adjusting all the margin and font and size and trying to make it look a little bit nicer, but it's worth it. Another thing I forgot to mention is this part: phone number, email address, and your LinkedIn URL. And you share your LinkedIn profile. That's not part of the CV discussion really, but you can change your LinkedIn URL to have your name in it. This is just something that's nicer to have because it's your name, it's not those random numbers or letters. Next, how to compose a sentence. That's the key part of writing the CV because that's all about your content. The way how you describe your content will determine how the HR perceive your information that you want to deliver. A very common principle is STAR. It's situation, task, action, and result. By describing the situation first and what your task is, and then what you did as action, and then finally what you achieved as a result. I found when I told other students about the STAR principle, sometimes they found it difficult how to write a sentence. So I came up with the 5 steps, step by step, so to guide you to write the sentence. It's purely based on how I wrote it. Firstly, ask yourself what's your role and what's your work responsibilities. Secondly, matching one skill with one piece of experience. So you have a separate experience and which one experience matching one skill. And then start to write the sentences with verbs that demonstrate your skills. Later on, I will have an example, so don't worry. And the fourth one, supporting your skill set with summarized work responsibilities. Again, it comes back to what's your role and your work responsibilities. And at the end, refinement. This refinement is also important because you can tailor your CV based on the job that you are applying for. Check the job description and use their word to describe your work experience. So these are the 5 steps that I came up based on how I wrote my CV. This is an example of business analyst intern in a startup, and it's my personal experience. I interned in a startup and I was a business analyst. So how would I write my job experience as a business analyst intern? Firstly, what's my role and my work responsibilities? I have 3. And firstly, I work with the IT team and customer service team. I work with both teams. And then second, I work with customers to gather their requirements. And then thirdly, I work within different teams in the startup. And the second step is to match your skills with your work responsibilities. What skills you can have from this experience. So I have 3 work responsibilities. Out of these 3 responsibilities, what skills I have gained. So for the first responsibility, I found my work is to translate technology terminologies to the customer service team. And the second skill set I have is to understand customer needs to optimize the customer service experience. And that's for the second responsibility. And third responsibility is to work with multiple roles in the startup. So after the second step, we will go to third step. It's to start the sentences with verbs to demonstrate your skills. Right at the beginning, show what skills you have. For example, for the first responsibility, instead of saying, I help translate technology terminologies between different teams, I said, bridge the gap. I chose to use the words bridge the gap between the IT team and customer service team. So the HR, when they read this, they can immediately grab the information. Bridge the gap. You probably are good at communicating. You are working with multiple teams. So this is some words you need to find and use those words to start the sentence. And then the second responsibility. Instead of saying, I understand customer needs, I said, engaged closely with customers to understand customer needs. And then the third, work with multiple roles in a startup. So I just made it sounds nicer. I said worked with dedication in multiple roles. So this is the third step. Start the sentence with a good verb so that it can demonstrate your skills. The fourth step is to support the skills with summarized work experience. Again, this is some work experience. So for the first one, I said, bridge the gap between IT team and customer service team. How? How can I do that? By using effective communication skills to translate terminology for better communication. So what I really want to highlight is bridge the gap. Again, effective communications, and again, for better communication. So this work experience helped me to gain better communication skills. And I demonstrated the skills right at the beginning, and then I described what I did in my work is to translate terminologies between teams. And again, I said it's for better communication. So one experience for one skill set. So I just added more details into it, what I did, what skills I have gained through the experience. So this is a strong evidence to support how you gained the skills. And the fifth step is to do refinement. Based on the job that you are applying for, tailor your CV a little bit based on the job description. For example, in the job description, the job I was applying for, I found they are in a very fast-paced work environment. So in the last point, I said, I adapted quickly to promote the development of the startup. I used the words adapt quickly so that when the HR check my CV, they can relate my CV to their job description very quickly because I used the same or similar words. And another example is I added for a better inter-team communication, because in the job description, it says you need to work very closely with other teams So I added for a better inter-team communication. This is something that why do we need to tailor our CV? It's to help HR relate very fast of your CV to their job description. And it's something that once they can relate, automatically they will feel like you're a better fit because you have the skill set that they require. And also another refinement is to add numbers into your CV, into your description. For example, engaged closely with how many customers. At the beginning, I didn't say how many, I just said engaged closely with customers. But how many? Can you count? Can you quantify it? Yes, if you can, add the number into it. I said engage closely with 20 customers per day. So this is something that you can do in the refinement part. At the end, this is the experience I wrote. I wrote 3 bullet points for the business analyst intern. And this is part of my CV when I applied for the job. So this is the 5 steps how to compose the sentence that I found very useful when I was writing my work experience. The first step, ask yourself your responsibilities. Make it separate responsibilities. And matching one skill with one piece of experience. And then start the sentence with a good verb like engaged, bridge the gap to demonstrate your skills. And then supporting your skills with summarized work responsibilities, this whole sentence. At the end, doing some refinements on using the words in the job description and add the numbers.
All right, so that's all about CV design and how to compose the sentence. And next, we will look at cover letter.
This is the format for cover letter. Firstly, top left corner is the KPMG address and the date. And then your name and postal address is on the top right. Here it's Dear KPMG recruiting team, re-application for the job title or the program. And sometimes they have job number, then you put the job number there. But sometimes they don't have, then just leave it. And the first graph, it's really to say that I want to apply for this job. One student sent me his cover letter, and he wrote as, I wish to apply for. This is something that we probably should avoid to use I wish to apply for because it's something that is not real, but you want to apply for it and you want to get it. So you can just say, I would like to take this opportunity to express my interest in blah, blah program at KPMG. And then this first 1 or 2 sentences, you can have a summary of why you want to apply for this job, probably because the value or the interaction you have, for the interaction you have, you can have it on the next 2 or 3 or 4, maximum 4. But 4 is a bit more. So probably two sentences to demonstrate your initiative. If you already talk to some employers from the company, you can say, our conversations with blah, blah, blah from this company really helped me to gain more understanding on the role and the culture. This is something that outside of cover letter is something you need to do before you write it, because a lot of people, when they write cover letter, they just write the cover letter based on the job description. If you want to make your CV or cover letter stand out, I would recommend you to make some effort to gain more information, either to reach out on LinkedIn, ask for an online chat, or ask them for a coffee chat to gain more information about this job, about the company, about the role or the team. Because in that way, they can really see you made the effort, you really want to get the role, instead of you're using the same cover letter for all the companies that you apply for. So show them that you are genuinely want this job and you made the effort. So this is the first paragraph that I would recommend you to write. The second, third, or fourth paragraph, it's for your work and experience, volunteer experience, project experience, and what skills have you gained through your previous work? What makes you stand out? Again, for this part, when you do the refinement, just find out their job description and use their words to phrase your sentences. The final paragraph, again, why you want to apply for it. Why would they choose you? Because you care about it, because you can connect yourself to their values. What makes you want to apply for their job? At the end, you can say working for KPMG, blah, blah team would be an ideal opportunity for me because KPMG can probably enable me or help me to grow. I strongly connect myself with KPMG's value, etc. If you have lots of experience, you can say, I would be a good asset to the team because you have so much experience that you can contribute to the team. And for students, it's probably a bit different because students doesn't have so much experience. So students can relate your past experience, either voluntary, part-time, anything that you can relate to KPMG. So that's the final paragraph. Lastly, just saying thank you for taking into consideration my application for this number. Yours truly and your signature. And at the end, put your name. So that's a very quick structure of how cover letter should be. That's all for cover letter and CV. Please unmute yourself if you have any questions. Mute yourself. Hello,
Can I ask a
Xiongwai.
question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
What do you think about the length of a CV if I have only 1.5 page of CV instead of 2 full pages? So
Yeah. I think
should
that should be fine. They're 1.5 pages. Try to add some more information into the bullet point. And still, if it doesn't reach 2 pages, then that's fine. That's totally fine.
Okay, thanks.
No worries. Any other questions?
Yes. Hi, William. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. I just wanted to ask one thing, like, since I'll be finishing my bachelor's,
Yeah.
is it, does it add value if I also include my high school grades and achievements in the education section, or should I skip that?
Yes, I'd recommend you to put it there. And also, if your grades are very good and can make you stand out, yes, leave it there.
Thank you.
Yeah, in terms of grades, some students ask me, do you need to put your GPA in your education? If you have a good GPA, yes, leave it there. If you don't, you don't have to. And also another thing is for education part, you can also add relevant courses. For example, I was applying for data analysis, the Lighthouse team in KPMG. So I put my relevant courses such as big data and data analytics, and that one I got very good score. So as long as the experience or the course or the GPA can make you stand out, leave it there. If it doesn't, then you don't have to. Any other questions?
Do you have any suggestions on the margin we should be putting for CV?
For margin, no. It depends on how much information you put in your job description, in your job experience. Because for me, one bullet is 2 lines. So I would adjust the margin so that my one bullet point can fit in 2 lines.
Yeah.
I will not let it go above 2 lines. If it's like too much information, then which means you need to concise your sentence a bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So, like you mentioned in your cover letter in the first paragraph, you can write if you have interacted with anyone from the firm.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you recommend putting their names as well, or do you just recommend putting?
Yes, put their name. the HR
Yeah.
might ask them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. It really was a helpful session.
Okay, 9 o'clock sharp. If you have any other questions, and if you are interested in another Zoom session, what topics you would be interested in, please send me an email to this email address, weiliandu20@gmail.com. Reach out to me anytime.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's it for today. Thank you all for joining me, and hope this session helped you on how to write a CV. Great. Hope you all have a good night and a good rest of the holiday.
You
Thank
too.
you, William.
Thanks. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.